So I'd like to take a couple minutes to talk about Greene v. Fisher. That's a recent U.S. Supreme Court case decided in November of 2011. Eric Greene, the defendant in this case, the petitioner in this case actually, he was filing a writ of habeas corpus against Superintendent Fisher of SCI SMITHFIELD, that's the Pennsylvania State Prison. Now, a little background, I actually know Superintendent Fisher in a professional capacity. I used to work over at SCI SMITHFIELD. I worked at the prison there where Eric Greene actually is housed. Anyways, Eric Greene, he was convicted of murder back in 1993. He and 4 other co-defendants robbed a grocery store in North Philadelphia. During the robbery, a worker at the store was killed. Greene was charged with second-degree murder. Now, Greene wanted to be tried separately from his co-defendants. 2 of his co-defendants actually gave pretrial statements, sworn statements, that implicated Greene in the murder. These statements were later redacted. Now, at Greene's trial, the prosecution entered these redacted statements into evidence. Greene wanted to exclude that evidence because he couldn't cross-examine it. There was really no way to go about it, but at that time, those types of sentences were legal. Those types of statements, rather, were legal. You could enter a redacted testimony into evidence at the time. So Greene appeals it. Now, while that appeal is pending, a new U.S. Supreme Court case comes up, and that was in 1998, Greene V. Maryland. Now, Greene v. Maryland essentially stated that those types of redacted testimony cannot be entered into evidence, and put that as clearly established federal law. So then Greene's appeal comes through, and he's saying, hey, look at this Greene v. Maryland case. I want to use that to exclude the evidence to say, no, your appeal was filed before that. Your sentence is affirmed. Now, it was affirmed by the Pennsylvania Superior Court, Pennsylvania Supreme Court, Writ of Habeas Corpus, all the way up through the federal courts, up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, the decision on this was actually to affirm the lower court's decision. It was a unanimous vote by the U.S. Supreme Court. Basically, with something like that, you really had to look carefully at dealing with ex post facto law, because it can set a really dangerous precedent with that. Basically, it's under the same principle, whereas if I do, say I go out today and, I don't know, I buy 500 bananas and I store them in my car and I bring them to my house, and 2 weeks from now, a state law passed saying that nobody is allowed to buy over 25 bananas, and you can't store them in your car, and even if you store them in your car, you can't bring them to your house anyways. That would be like trying to charge me with that crime, even though I committed the crime before there was a law against it. And it's the same principle that were there at Greene. Now, in this particular case, it actually worked against the defendant in the case, well, against the defendant in the original case, Eric Greene. I really agree with the Supreme Court's decision on this. They upheld the conviction, and those of you who know me know that I'm not going to side with one side of the law be the other when it comes to legal matters like that. I'm actually more interested in the statute and the constitutionality of the law. So basically, that's my opinion of it. I'd love to get your feedback on it. Please comment. Thank you.